Good evening. So I'd like to start with a prayer first, so please join me. Om Nazenam Darajinum Rupe, Tajijina Jubayi, Sangajadangi Nubabezo, Kunajazeta Jataishu, Timiji Bezin. Chimbijim Begatabatamba, Kunogumajan, Lumbudrabazata Bedane, Simjadam Jalagun to Pepe, Ism Zebatet of Trouble Day, Sanzim de British. The worship of Gala Chazalo, Jambation of Patento Jeze, Chereziwangu Bojam Pepe, saying you put upon Murse, Nimgany Bobajo. Upituji Pega Lushina, no put about it in Yumai, Chazalinum to Jipegajo, Chanju Simba Gala Chazalo, Rinjin the Jotaji Sirgina, the Jubazo. Yinadon the Punza Baby, Minugiz, when you call out there, Rinjin the Jaja, Chudu Yawaji. Gesongo, Timbe Pepe, Tashel, Mugela Chazalo, Sambashim Bodijung Simabo, Midon. Pakibodan, Lua Mimiza, Nam Desizela Zakonodan, Tishuladon. We wanted to shooting it in this, as soon as regulated GP, Jideko Gala Chazalo, Dajetin the Joe. Gedan Yavarsewa Kunjine, the Bebe some Asian troop, Tashi de Pusum Super Show, Dajetin the Joe. Gedan Yavarsewa Kunjine, the Bebe some Asian troop, Tashi de Pusum Super, Dajetin the Joe. Gedan Yavarsewa Kunjine, the Bebe some Asian troop, Tashi. Pusumzo Parasho, Chumnenda Paracomposition in Japan, Salo, Kangilu. Nidanum Tarazavich, Jinzi, Nigu to Gondamaza, Gondosabasara, Madame. Tozokona, Puji does a Yanoji and the song to Trichero, Numonino, Madame. Chingy chose a retinum, the necessary such a thing in the necessity. Dalo Musi Jampariana, the Umarabzana, the Marabana, the Marabana, the Marabana, Umarapazana de Kurgum de Decision, Ubetanashir. Lebazame Jumechu, Gumbo Jabe, and Achasa, Consataba the bomb choose it. Gumbo Jame, the came a parianton or shoe. Thank you. So, I'd like to, before we do sitting practice and meditation, I think perhaps it's good for us to reflect why sitting practice and meditation works, and why it is important for us to do that, to practice meditation. The fundamental quality or characteristic or practice of meditation works because there's a basic goodness in us. That's the ground why meditation is important and why meditation works. If there is no basic goodness, then meditation is pointless. It can never work. There is no point of doing meditation because if there is no peace or stability or calm abiding in your awareness, in your mind or in your consciousness, those doesn't matter, consciousness, awareness, mind, people call soul, are also one meaning with different words. So many different terminologies are basically used for that. So, the basic goodness, how do we know we have a basic goodness? Because we feel sometimes lack of confidence in ourselves. We feel more confidence in our aggression, easily identify our afflictive emotion, but a little bit not sure and not so confident when it's come to wisdom and compassion. We feel, oh yes, it is true there must be a wisdom and compassion, but that's very weak. But I feel more confident about my anger. I feel more confident about my attachment. I feel more confident how my jealousy will work, that I'm sure I know how to function very well, and something I can easily work with and relate with. But when it comes to compassion and wisdom, then it's kind of vague. It's like not so sure whether I could really able to have a grasp to that, able to have realized to that. So when we look at that we feel more comfortable with our afflictive emotion, then more far away from our wisdom and compassion, that itself is a big problem, actually. Then it's obvious that why we have more suffering and more pain and more conflict in our life is simply due to that. It's simply due to afflictive emotions. If you question yourself, where is my suffering coming from? You pretty much have to accept the fact that it's coming from your afflictive emotion. You can't say that it's coming from basic goodness, or it's coming from compassion, or it's coming from wisdom. And when we really look deeper into ourselves, the way the mind is 24-hour, how it's functioning, is so many times, almost every thoughts and emotion is tainted with some neurosis, isn't it? If you look, either with this, and of course, the ego plays a central role. Moment there is the ego, is already tainted. You can't have a mind untainted if there's an ego. That ego brings its its attendance or assistance, anger, jealousy, territorial, attachment. And then, if there is attachment, there is aversion, anger, attachment to one side, whether it's one's business, whether it's one's family, or competitiveness. And then already there's a conflict. And that conflict finally brings suffering to us. So many levels of suffering. Or almost like we don't know, how can we get out of this? It's like a highway without any exit. Keeps driving, never find an exit that we can be free and we can be happy. We're not designed, if I use the word design, to suffer or to be unhappy or to be confused, but we are rather, the very fact that we want to be happy, it shows we are designed to be free. Our mind is deep inside. If I use the word design, designed to be free, designed to be basic goodness. No insanity, no obscurity, no conflict, no affliction. That's what fundamentally, that deep inside, the mind is enlightened nature, quality. So when we look, where does all this problem starts? Definitely we can all come to the conclusion that it all begins from ignorance. What else? Confusion and ignorance seems very clear. There's the culprit. If there is, it's very clear the culprit or the cause is the ignorance, nothing else. It's not some kind of external such as demon or Satan or whatever we may call. They're really not the cause, but rather one's own ignorance. That is the fundamental cause. In Tibet, the monasteries, outside the monasteries, there is a big wall painting. That wall painting is depicted, there are three things. One is pig, one is a snake, and one is a rooster. The pig signifies ignorant because in this symbolic meaning. This is symbolic meaning. So what is this symbolic meaning? Because pig cannot tell clean and unclean. You see, it's just one taste or no taste. So based on that, the pig is symbol of ignorance, and the snake is a symbol of anger, aggression. When we see a rattlesnake or any kind of snake, it makes us just simply seeing, if we are afraid, that kind of karmic, it has built up, that energy that we feel scared. So that signifies deep inside our own mind, the anger. Then there is the rooster, the desire or the attachment. So in fact, the rooster and the snake actually came out of the pig's mouth, because pig is the root cause of ignorance. So both aggression, in other words, aggression and attachment came out of fundamental ignorance, that is basic not knowing, sense of bewilderment. So generally, we describe two kinds of ignorance or bewilderment. One is bewildered, the law of cause and effect, confused to law of cause and effect. One is bewildered or confused to the reality, the nature of reality. That comprises our entire confusion and ignorance, the not knowing cause and effect and not knowing reality. So, not knowing what happens, not knowing reality of mind, then the mind is bewildered and there's no peace at all. Everything comes out of your mind, become like a burden, like a love and a hate relationship with your mind projection always. Everything become conflict. Everything become like, instead of being complementary, like a beautiful world or liberation, all thoughts, instead of becoming liberation, the thoughts turns into like fixations. Everything you think become a fixation. Everything you think become like a trap. And so therefore your own mind turning against you, your own mind like becoming the biggest burden or the biggest confusion. That is not knowing the basic reality, the nature of your mind. Then there is the ignorance of not knowing cause and effect. And that's where all the ethical teachings, respect, equality, like the founding fathers of this country, our Constitution of the United States, all equal, respect, general respect for others' view, religious rights, whether you believe in a religion or whether you don't believe in a religion, respect, secularism, equality of men and women, general human rights. Those are all ethical teachings. It doesn't come from a religious church or temple, the Constitution of the United States, I would pretty much suppose, though I was not there at that time when the Constitution was written. But I would imagine it was written by some very wise people, that freedom, equality, all those things. And that is what ethicals meaning, which makes peace and harmony in the country. It is those constitution today which is our stability as people living in America, that we have the rights of free speech, free choice. All those things are based on those wonderful constitution, equality, all these rights. That is ethical. And based on that, we don't make war. Just because you don't share the same religious view or same philosophical view, or whether it's today the equality of sexual preference, whatever, that we respect all and try to, we may disagree or agree, that's a personal choice, but respect for all. Those are all make this country a peaceful country, make this country a possibility to grow. And His Holiness Dalai Lama, he's trying to promote secular ethics. And of course, religion also teaches ethics, such as according to the Buddhist teaching, there are 10 unvirtuous deeds and 10 virtuous deeds. Why those 10 virtuous deeds and 10 unvirtuous deeds is taught? Because for the happiness and well-being of beings. There's no other reason than that. It's just solely for our well-being and our happiness. For example, not killing, not stealing, not lying, no sexual misconduct. They're not try to split two close people, saying one thing here and saying another thing there. Two good friends, you try to split them apart. And many things like that based on negative intention. And if you look further back, where those negative intentions and emotions are coming from, it's lack of self-confidence in oneself. A lack of if you further go, where does the lack of self-confidence come? It's a sense of fear of survival, which is basic neurosis, which is basic ignorance. It is that basic sense of neurosis and basic sense of survival make us do all like infinite chain reaction of negative thoughts, speech, action. And the result, we suffer. Nobody suffers, you suffer. Of course, you would compliment others, adding to their problems. You can have them can get more confused, get them more angry, or get them more jealous, or get them more things, which will add to their suffering, but you're also suffering. That's the only world you know. You know with your mind, that's the only mind you know how to relate with yourself. It's very sad. It's terrible, like the level, there's a Tibetan word for that. Rangi khatap gyobo means, what a sad situation, pathetic situation you are in. Actually, the American word would be pathetic situation. It's true. So now we need to really look deeper into ourselves. And the change can only come from within oneself. Nobody can change to you. you can bring the change to yourself if you're willing to work with yourself and being open and honest to yourself. You have to sit down and look at the whole thing. And even you have to start from zero. It's okay. It's better than trying to be not honest with oneself. So the confusion of not knowing cause and effect brings a lot of suffering to a day-to-day life. Our day-to-day existence or pleasure and pain comes from cause and effect, immediate cause and effect. Whether we call that instant karma or whether we call that, whatever you like to name, but your day-to-day life experience comes from karma, cause and effect. That's the law of nature. It is not made by Buddha. It's like Buddha was trying to become a doctorate in a university and he had to write a thesis. And he thought, what should I call this? Well, let me call karma and just get an idea. Fiction, it's not a fiction of some kind. It is simply the law of nature, cause and effect. Whether Buddha came in this world or he didn't came in this world, the law of nature is law of nature. In fact, it has nothing to do. Buddha discovered the reality of cause and effect, and he simply presented that, the discovery of cause and effect, our life experience. Pain and pleasure comes from that. And then, as far as the basic goodness is concerned, is also the discovery of one's own nature, and Buddha discovered that. And therefore, the word Buddha means awake, awaken, discovering the awakened nature in oneself. And that is, there's a Sanskrit word for that called Tathagata Garbha or Sugata Garbha. Means Buddhas of the past have come or not. The Buddhas of the future will come or not. The Buddhas of the present will come on. The essence is always essence, has nothing to do with that. In fact, that essence right now, that good basic goodness, is still in us. Now let me give you an example how that is. For example, a negative emotion, let's say. Hatred, anger, or some whatever, a negative thing. We think that all emotions, whether it's good or bad, and in this case, I'm using the example of a negative emotion. We think emotions are so real. They're eternal. They're permanent, like something out of your body, out of your sense world, like something lingering there, something so real. We have a sense, usually, and we get fixated to that. But normally, when you develop an emotion of any kind, the emotion comes with the interaction of subject and object. You can't have emotion without relating with the subject and object. When you deal with the subject and object interaction, that means it's condition. Condition means not independent. Conditions means impermanence. Conditions means relative. Conditions mean change. Therefore, it's called condition. If it's unconditioned, there will be no factors playing at all. Then it's like a random, out of a blue, there could be some emotion eternally. That never happens. Any emotion, whether it's love or whether it's aggression, needs the play interaction of subject and object, isn't it? Then something happens. I mean, when you get angry to someone, you never get angry to someone first time you meet on the street, unless you hit driving a car, and then you can say, oh, you broke my, car, so therefore you have a reason at that moment. Things happen. But normally you see a person, two persons who love each other, let's say, and there is a disagreement of some kind. And that disagreement, you wouldn't just get angry the first day. Number one, this. Number two, this. Number three, you did this one time. You did the second time. You did the third time. After so many times, I had it enough of you. You see. And then you get angry. Then so many plays, so many factors come into that part, and there is the thing called anger. Now, so therefore, anger is that particular emotion, negative emotion, is not, you can see, so all these factors coming is clearly it's a conditioned nature. It's not something by itself, independent, inherent. It's not. It just seems like that. Now, at that moment, it seems like that. It is just anything which is not inherent. It's a seeming situation, isn't it? On a very subtle level. Think about it. It seems to, so all our anger, all our emotion actually seems to be there, not actually there. If it's actually there, it has to be unconditioned. If it's not unconditioned, if it's conditioned, condition seems to be there, just to question whether it's gross or whether it's subtle. The gross has to start from a very subtle level. Otherwise, how can it be gross? As I said, you counted so many reasons, finally how you approved that anger. It took a while to build up to that gross level. It didn't start with some instant, It took a while for something to build. So therefore, this phenomena, in fact, is called illusion. We just make it fixated, and we make it deadly serious. But reality is always changing. It's more fluid. It's like play of that emotions and thought, which basically have no inherent quality. Therefore, life changes. If it's so real, anger can never change anger. We can never forgive someone because anger is so real. The fact that anger is not real, at some point, your anger goes away. The other person says sorry to you, your anger goes away. Or the time, if something more serious, over the time, your anger gets less and less. Finally, you're able to let go. Or you're able to forgive. All emotion, not just anger, all emotions like that. There is more. So you see, should we take life deadly serious, or should we take life a little bit easier? I think more wiser to take a little bit easier than taking it deadly serious, because there isn't anything deadly serious to begin with. But that is not to say we shouldn't be, then we may say, how can I be a responsible person if I don't take serious? We are not saying that one shouldn't be a responsible person, but we are saying be touched with the reality. Then being touched with reality, you get more inspiration in the right mind, which is compassion and wisdom. When you see that things and events, yes, it's happening, but it's not as real, finally, as it seems to be, like a dream. Our dreams seem so real. When we wake up, it's not real. So actually, who says daytime is real and nighttime is not real? It's the mind, this very mind. And what valid ground is there that nighttime is more unreal than the daytime? You need to question yourself on a deeper philosophical meaning. But we need to pay respect. We need to pay respect to cause and effect. We need ethical. Without ethics, the world will be in chaos. We need ethics in business. We need ethics in, in every aspect of life, in relationship, respect, caring, whether it's government, whether it's community, whether it's an individual. We need to have that rule of some law. That's how it functions. At the same time, not getting fixated where we become puritanicals. That, oh, I'm so pure and you are wrong. That kind of aggression built is very dangerous. We need to deep inside have a sense of more openness, more tolerance. Tolerance is, if you see the tolerance becomes very difficult when there's a fixation to that. But tolerance, if you have seen more deeper sense, like for example, I use the word, example of the negative emotion, anger. The seeing that anger, inherently there's no inherent quality, then you feel, when you see the reality, naturally there is patience, naturally there is tolerance, naturally there is forgiving. Because you see, it's crazy to get fixated to something which doesn't have any real ground to begin with. That's how we all get confused. That's where all our suffering and confusion and suffering and pain is coming from a confused state of mind, not from an enlightened, in a clear state of mind. That's why the practice of meditation becomes so important, that we can connect to ourselves. Not just running with every thoughts which you're doing in your works and everything day to day, but just calm down. We need to calm down. We need to create a space in our mind. Otherwise we will go crazy. So sitting practice of meditation is very beneficial to calming the mind, able to see reality, and transcend from these very fixations of all kind. Fixation of ego. Ego is a fixation. Ego, when we have an ego, that is a fixation, which seeing something which is not really there, but believing bad habit, we call, you got a bad habit, we say. So ego is the most bad habit, actually. The ultimate habit. But ego, you see, creativity and ego is two different things. Compassion, passion, right? There's compassion. Compassion is also creativity. Infinite creativity. It doesn't mean that you don't exist. In fact, you're told to bring compassion. You're told to even, be very open-minded don't get stuck by taking a credit. Yes, to beginners, yes, take credit. Beginners, when we say it's wonderful, like the parents give a, chocolate to the children, Yes, you did a good job. You get a little patting. That's how it works well. But some point, then you're told to go further, deeper. Don't get stuck anywhere, because your fundamental goodness will not manifest if you get stuck somewhere. You need to be open, and you need to see the deep sense, which is infinite possibility. So compassion is infinite possibility, because compassion needs to come with the wisdom. And what is that wisdom? Seeing precision, nature of reality is wisdom. Compassion itself is emotion. There is a certain level of fixation to that. When you try to do good, there is a certain level of fixation to that. I need to do good. I need to go and I need to create this. I need to do this. I need to, walk or give charity or do whatever, or to take my family, for a walk or vacation, whatever, trying to bring good heart. There's a certain level of reference, there's a certain level of fixation. Because we are used to that fixation for so long, it's not going to go away. Just trying to be, even you can deeply understand, but your mind habit will still be there. It takes time to change habit. Habit is not something we can instantly change. It takes time. So now compassion is there, But compassion alone cannot let you transcend. Compassion will not eradicate neurosis. Compassion is an important part, very important part, for you to step out of your little mind and selfish mind and do great. Here is a very interesting thing. It looks like it's working to help others, but in fact it's really helping you more than others. That's like a trick it plays. Makes you think that, why should I be compassionate? I want to be focused more to myself. And that's where we get stuck. But in fact, it helps you more than others. For example, we are all social animals. Our happiness, our sensorial happiness, our relative happiness, whether it's our physical well-being, our mental well-being, our family's well-being, where we feel good, comes from others' affection. Isn't it? Without others' affection, we will be like nowhere today. The affection of our parents, our family, made us where we are today. Healthy body, well-being is due to our friends, family, affection. So how much affection you need from others for your well-being, for your survival? In a business, the environment of business, colleagues, people who are working, for it to grow, for it to be well-being, for everyone to be happy, needs affection of all people. But if one is so egoistic, just me and nobody else you don't see, then nobody's happy in that family. Nobody's happy in that environment. It's a very unpleasant place to work, we say, or it's a very unpleasant family, or it's a very unpleasant situation. So how much we are dependent, our happiness comes from others. So therefore, all the more reason for you to be kind to others. As they say, it takes two to tango, right? I don't know how to play tango, I don't know the dancing tango, but something like that. So it takes two, it's interdependent. So how much, what you give is what you get, in other words. When you bring that open heart, kind heart to others, then you receive automatically that to you. Now you see how wrong our ego was. Being so selfish, close mind, just self-centeredness, shut your whole door. While that good heart is a very wise selfish. If one has to be selfish, that's a wise selfish. I heard His Holiness Dalai Lama said, there is a wise selfishness to be kind to others. Of course, you don't try to play trick on yourself. I'm being selfish, so I'm going to be compassionate. You genuinely, seeing the others' pain, and then you want to reach out to them. And that's very powerful. Because, for example, if you meet someone who is nice to you, and you meet someone who is not nice to you, usually it's easier to practice someone who is nice to you, but harder to practice someone who is not nice to you. But the fact is, of course, both are equally perfect candidate, both are equally someone who wants happiness. As far as wanting happiness, there is no difference. Both have the right for happiness, both should be happy, both should be free. As far as individual practice for us as an individual, if we can relate to someone who is negative to us, someone who has more aggression to us, someone who is more harmful to us, if we can bring tolerance and patience and compassion is more beneficial than to the one who is more easier to deal with. Because that will make you grow faster. That will make you open up more deeper. So, now how do we, when we engage in that someone who is harmful to us, especially someone who did something wrong to us, whatever that is. Because we feel compassion to them, because he or she who did harm to you have no control to their mind. He or she, that person, also wants to be happy and free, just like ourselves. We also do, when we make mistake, we never say, okay, now I should suffer. We say, I should be happy no matter what. We never say, oh, I did something wrong, now I should feel pain, or I should go to hell. We still say, I should go to heaven. And I should be happy. And the same thing for that person, he or she, who is trying to do harm to us, he or she at that time, due to their ignorance, moment there is ignorance, actually this is a very interesting thing. I want you to look at yourself, reflect on, think about it when you go. If you are ignorant, bewildered, there's two kinds of bewilderment. One is bewilderment in the nature of reality of emptiness, and one is bewildered to nature of cause and effect. If, when you notice your mind is bewildered, that your mind is influenced by previous habits, previous aggressions, previous afflictive emotion, that's how you judge things, that's how you see things. Do you really have a free will or not? I'd like you to look at it when you go back tonight. We call free will. How much is free will and how much is influenced by our confusions and afflictive emotions? If there is a free will, everyone will try to bring happiness and do the right thing to be free. The fact that we are not free and the fact that we are still afflicted, maybe something is not really going the free will that should be going. And what is the cause? It's ignorance. Nothing else. No one is making us go crazy. There's something we're not relating it right way. So you need to reflect that. So now, if I talk too much, so we should do some meditation. Okay. All right. Now please sit. When you meditate, sit with a comfortable body, totally relaxed. And your neck should not be pushing down or looking up. Just straight and relax. Your body relax. Your eyes and whole senses, your body, everything totally relax and awake, not sleepy, but awake. So you can put your hand like this, or you can put your hand like this on your knees, whichever you feel comfortable. And then, now, as far as your eyes are concerned, open your eyes and don't penetrate. No fixation, no penetration. But what happens if you throw a rope, loosen up. So loosen up the eye should be like 2 meters or something like that. Totally relax. Drop it. No tension. Don't hold it. Drop it. Just relax. So now think your body is sitting on the zafutan, which is called meditation cushion. I think zafutan is a Japanese word. Zafutan. So think my body on the zafutan. In the body is my mind, and mind relax. Okay? So that's the first thing you need to realize. So that means you're here and now. Your mind is not like wandering, spaced out, but more focused to your mind here. And then now go to the breath. Be your awareness. Just be with the breath. Breath is alive. So you're here and alive. When you breathe out and when you breathe in, you're just with the breathing awareness. Simply that. Focus to that and don't try to, have mindfulness that your mind is with the breath. Otherwise, you will have a thought and then you will run all over. Then there will be no benefit with the meditation practice. The point is to be grounded and be here and now. And the method is very simple, just with the breath. And then, of course, now a thought will arise. Something of the past or something of the future, what you want to do. Or what, I'm feeling hot here, I'm feeling pain here, or something going on in your mind, whatever it is. Just recognize them simply as a thought, thinking arising, and then let go. All thoughts, no special treatment. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, doesn't matter when you do meditation. If you give special treatment, there's a saying in the meditation teaching, a good thought, if you get attached, or bad thought, you have aversion, then you are distracted by that. It says, what is the difference if a black dog bites you and a white dog bites you? The injury is the same. You'll be fixated and trapped, no matter which you will get attached. So in meditation, all thoughts are equal. Just recognize the thought and then let go and be with the breath. Okay? So that's how we will do. So for a few more minutes of meditation, then we will have a discussion. Okay. We will have a discussion here if you have any questions.
If everyone can use the microphone, because we are live streaming tonight, so there's people all across the world that are watching, so they can hear your questions.
So, Rinpoche, thank you for your wonderful talk tonight. Can you speak a little bit more about sometimes we have afflictive emotions, but we're trapped in them, like we can't, or like sometimes I find it really hard to get out of it, and even if I bring awareness to it, it's still permeating me. And so, is there a practice to kind of break that stream so that you can get some space to work with it? Because sometimes it feels like there's no space to work with.
This is the practice we are doing. Sitting meditation itself is the practice, but you have to be patient. You see, yesterday I went to university to give a talk, and somebody asked me a question. What do you notice the difference people approach to the practice of Dharma generally in the West and in Asia? I said, though we all have the same emotion, whether we are born in Africa or Europe or Asia or America, same human mind. In fact, all beings of the same nature want to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. If you love, they love you. You know, the same feeling, same emotion. But the difference between an approach to Dharma in the East and in the West, in the West people seek immediate result. Instant, like instant. But when you deal with the mind, you need to have patience. You cannot change habit instantly. Habit takes time to change. So therefore, the way to work with the trapped emotions and afflictive emotion is a sitting practice of meditation. Why? Because meditation with prajna, with the precision of insight, prajna means the insight, wisdom, can only eradicate the root cause of afflictive emotion. Therefore, the teaching of Heart Sutra, there's so much emphasis on the teaching of mind, from the Hinayana level to Mahayana level to Vajrayana level, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, amazing levels of how to understand, how to unravel this trapped afflictive emotion, and how to see the clear light, the enlightened nature. There's so much emphasis on the wisdom nature, prajna. While the compassion cannot really eradicate all afflictive emotions. For example, out of the three root afflictive emotion, or the three poison as traditionally is called, the ignorance, the anger, aggression, and then the attachment. Attachment is basically desire. So desire is more complex. There can be desire for enlightenment. There can be desire for higher knowledge. There can be desire to go realize deep wisdom nature. That is beneficial. It's important for us to have that. You see, but for instance, in a monastic tradition, certain men and women, they choose the life of being a monk or being a nun, because it's very safe environment. That is kind of, you see, when you are with a partner, it's more challenging, but more beneficial if you can handle it. But if you cannot handle it, it's easy to be alone. So that is up to your mind, how you can deal with it, deal with the situation. In fact, bodhisattva path is engagement, not disengagement. You cannot become a bodhisattva if you disengage. How are you going to practice bodhicitta? But able to engage with the being, it opens the door for all kinds of possibilities. And if you're not strong, it can suck you into, and you will be in a place of pretty neurotic situation or afflictive state. But if you can deal with that, you can turn it around, transform that. That's what makes a bodhisattva and a non-bodhisattva. The situation is same, exactly the same. The presentation is the same, situation is the same. How the person deals with the same situation, one can make it transcending, enlightening, and bring tremendous blessing and healing and happiness. And one can, dealing with the same situation, can bring aggression, make oneself trapped, make complement to that more suffering. That's what makes a confused mind versus an enlightened mind. Mind is same, but one able to have the strength or wisdom and compassion, one not able to have that. So now dealing, for example, on their traditional monastic situation, certain people feel more secure before they can be strong. You know, in order to help someone, first you need to be either strong, or you, in order to give some thing to others, you need to have that yourself. So you build to having it to yourself. So in that way, it's more secure. The monastic tradition, since you closed up the relationship, so you focus to your mind more. And then at a certain level, when you reach higher level, you have to come out of that closed door and you have to engage. Otherwise, you cannot. You will always live in a very small secluded state. But there is a reason why, sometimes we all do that. When we can handle the situation, we take, a day trip or somewhere around in a mountain, take a walk, and just want to be quiet from our partners or friends and family. Just want to be quiet, just like that. One does it for a longer time, one does it for a shorter time. That's the only difference. So therefore, that kind of discipline, now the antidote for desire is meditation on impurities. So if a monk is attached to a woman, and then, that woman, he started to visualize inside guts and lungs and mucus and intestines, and it's true, we have guts and lungs, everything beside the skin, it's dangling, and if you can see through that, you will have no desire. Same thing for a woman, visualizing a man into guts and lungs and, everything, mucus, pus coming out. No desire for a man. So this is how in the monastery, monks and nuns, when they have desire arising, then that's how they try to bring down that feeling, desire. It's called one emotion subduing the other emotion. That is entirely psychology. Psychiatrists and Western psychology, psychiatrists, our emotional, whether it's in the East or whether in the ordinary people dealing with life situation, emotion, is like that. One is trying to subdue the other. It's like you go to a theme park and there's these little things popping out and you have this hammer, and the moment it comes out, you hit. It's all, of course you hit that in a while, then again it pops out, and then again you try to. That's how we deal with emotion in life. All temporal fix. It comes out again for the time being, you see. It cannot eradicate that attachment, but it can temporal fix. Now go to aggression, anger. The antidote for anger is loving kindness, tremendous pouring of compassion to that person who is afflicted by anger, some negative thing. And you can subdue your anger by that very powerfully. It will come down. Your anger will be removed. You will feel free. But then, did that eradicate from the root that afflictive emotion? No. It will come back when a circumstance arises. A day when you meet something very strong, or someone come challenge you very strongly, you will lose your mind. It's just for the time being you have subdued. That's how the entire psychology, you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist, I believe that's pretty much, whether it's the psychology of Jung or whether it's psychology of Freud. I'm sorry, I've never been to a psychology class, but I heard all this thing. So, whether you blamed all your problems come from your father or come from your mother or come from your friend or family, you feel good. Okay, that's what happened. I feel, okay, I'm fine, I'm good. But they did that. So for the time being, for a few days you feel good. Then again it come back. Then again you go to the psychologist. Again, or if it doesn't work, then you take a pill and numb yourself. There's most Prozac and medicine like that, from my understanding. It kind of numbs your certain level of brains, so it makes you like a robot, basically, makes you stupid. Right? It's beneficial for a very violent, crazy person. It can subdue. But overall, is that a real deep healing? It's not. It's more like numbs you, like a tranquilize, so that you feel like not much function. But it's good for some very violent people. So all temporal fix. All emotion dealing is temporal fix. There's no permanent fix. So then, when we are faced with that, now when the Buddha gave the teaching on the Four Noble Truths, the first Noble Truth, Buddha gave the teaching on suffering. In particular, of all different kinds of suffering, this conditional suffering is the main one that we need to recognize. No matter what you do, there is, even you achieve your aims of your life, making money, or your health, or your this or that, but still there's dissatisfaction, something not perfect, something not correct, something uncomfortable deep inside their mind. Always some uncertainty, not satisfied. So then that kind of push you to look further. Now, how can I get out of this? Where is the exit? How do I, even everything is there, like, there are lots of billionaires or millionaires, so people have, but still not happy. So, what is that making me unhappy? Then when you further, go and look, then you're knocking at the door of ignorance. It doesn't go for, then ignorance seems finally, the real culprit. So then the ignorance is seen as your real enemy. My real enemy is my ignorance. Finally you recognize that. Then you go further deeper. Then you see the nature of from the Madhyamika teaching, the interdependence. All phenomena, emotion, thoughts, events are all interdependent. Interdependence, all emotions, feeling of good, feeling of pain, feeling of pleasure are due to interdependence, due to many interactions. That's where the happiness or pain is produced. Right? Then, when you see that it's interdependent, we think it's so real, independent. There is no real independent. What is? Then we see that particular neurosis. Moment you see is interdependent, it's not independent, it falls apart. That is called emptiness. Emptiness doesn't mean everything vanishes or nothing is there. Absence of inherent existence is not there. That is a reality. It's not just idea, it's a reality. In every emotion, it contains that. Therefore, it's called, that reality essence called wisdom, insight, particular insight. So then through the practice, when you're learning meditation, first you're learning shamatha, calm abiding. Gradually, your meditation deepens and deepens and deepens. Then that's insight is so wisdom of absence of the wrong notion of independent fixation begin to dissolve. And that's where one can eradicate all, ego and wrong notion of all afflictive emotion. Like if you cut the tree from the root, then all the branches will be not grown. What we are doing, the way we are dealing with emotion is cutting the leaves. And they keep growing up. We don't know how to deal with the ground. So that's why meditation on emptiness, the word is emptiness, basically means absence of, fixation. Doesn't mean things become empty, nothingness. That's nihilism. There's difference of emptiness and nihilism. So therefore, the teaching on emptiness is the only one which can, by seeing the inside, that can cut through the root of samsara, root of ignorance. Then all others fall apart at the same time. Like that. That's why meditation practice is so important. It's the only way. There's no other way. You can find out, you look, you search. I can guarantee that's the only way. Okay, very good. Then let's do the world peace prayer. Yeah. Thank you. Last page. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. Now the last one. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, and thus defeat the neurosis and negative conduct which are our enemies. From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, From ocean of existence, may all beings be liberated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rinpoche. So I wanted to make a few announcements. Thank you, everybody, for coming. First of all, I see a bunch of new faces, which is wonderful. So just a little background on the center for those that have not been here before. So Chhoje Rinpoche about 3 years ago decided to come to Denver. He could have gone anywhere in the world, and he chose to come to Denver to build this center. This building, before we started construction, was an old church, and it was basically gutted. There was a fire, and there was asbestos in the walls, and so everything had to be torn out, and which was nice for us because we could build really whatever we wanted inside. So our initial fundraising was able to make enough money to build the top floor and the bathrooms, which you probably have all seen if you've gone downstairs. That big long corridor, there will be doors on both sides. So once we raise enough money for phase 2, then it will include a library, it'll include a dining hall, a full commercial kitchen, offices, and then a caretaker quarters. So Rinpoche's vision is to bring over a monk or a nun so that when he's not here, then they can help lead meditation teachings, help teach us some of the more complex practices, and help take care of the center. So that's a long-term vision for the building. I think it's important to mention we are a 100% volunteer organization. We're currently, we opened the doors to the center in March of this year, so it's been about 6 months and it's been growing really well. We're currently at about 50% of the money that we need to keep the doors open though. So we had a grant for the first year to cover all of our expenses. But the best way that people can help us with the meditation center is to become a member. So on our website, there's a place to become a member. Anything helps as far as membership. There's a couple benefits to it other than this is the biggest benefit, is helping to keep the center open, but the other benefits in the members area, all of Rinpoche's teachings are in there, video and audio. So if you want to see his previous teachings as a member, you have access to them. And then there's discounts on his weekend teachings, so we'll do DVDs for the weekend teachings that he's given, and you get a discount on those. But obviously the number one thing is just keeping the doors open. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a membership drive over the next 2 months to help try to raise it up so that we can cover more of the operating expenses here. There is a lot of activity in the end of the year, which is really fun. I'm excited. We finally got to announce the dates of all the teachings for the rest of the year, and there's some big ones happening. So Rinpoche is going to be going on a little bit of a road trip in the next couple weeks, going to California and Oregon to do teachings. So for the next 3 Thursdays, we'll still be doing Thursday night meditations here. And for those that haven't been to them, we typically either listen to or watch one of Rinpoche's previous teachings, and then we meditate together, and then we have a discussion, which is pretty fun. We get to talk amongst each other and challenge each other. People ask a lot more questions, I've noticed, at those, which is kind of interesting. Rinpoche will be back on November 20th, which is a Thursday, and then the following week is Thanksgiving. So since Thanksgiving is on a Thursday, Rinpoche will be giving his teaching on Tuesday that week, so that's November 25th. And then he'll be here on December 4th, and then again on December 18th. And then we really kick it into overdrive because Chhoje Rinpoche's teacher, Sokse Rinpoche, which is the top left picture hanging on the wall there, he's a really, really amazing Lama. He's only been to America a few times, and he is coming to spend a week here at the center. And so he'll be giving a whole host of teachings, empowerments, trainings on meditation. And so it's going to be a really fun week. It's also going to be a lot of work, so those that feel inclined, we're going to really need all hands on deck for that week. So we sent out an email today that had all the specific days of what's going on for each day, and as well as volunteer opportunities. So we would love if you didn't get that email, please let myself or Genevieve know, and we'll make sure that you get it. By next week, we'll also have the schedule printed out, and you can get it here at the center. Last but not least, we are working on filling additional statues. Statues are a traditional meditational aid that people can use in their homes. Obviously, we have 3 big ones here. They're filled with prayers and precious substances. And so we have about 30 statues that we're filling for students' meditational aids. So this Saturday from 9 o'clock until noon, we'll be doing additional work to help prepare those statues to be filled. So if you can help, please talk to Rebecca. She's leading that project. All right, thanks again, everybody, for coming. Have a good night.